Hello, and welcome to another session on product management. I'm Shrikanan Iyer, CEO of GameBench and Prim Digital. Thanks for joining me today. This session will lay out the fundamentals of Agile, a product development framework that now forms the backbone of most digital products being delivered. The marketplace of the 19th century wasn't that different from how it is today. People bought and sold goods, negotiated, haggled. Colorful stalls are set up to attract customers, trying to sway them away from others selling similar products. However, technology has fundamentally reshaped the marketplace of the 21st century. Physical marketplaces are now on the way out. E-commerce websites like Amazon and Alibaba are replacing the traditional marketplaces with sophisticated online markets where transactions occur via a series of digital interactions. As the digital economy replaces such traditional markets, the digital enterprise and the digital customer have emerged as a true winner. The flip side of this is that the digital customer is now getting more and more greedy, and greedy at times. New features, high-quality products have to be rolled out in shorter cycles compared to the past to stay ahead of competition and to satisfy the unforgiving digital customer. Under the traditional waterfall method, business was often out of sync with product delivery, which would take 3 to 4 years to develop. The business environment would often change in the meantime, invalidating the product, and on delivery the product would often not match customer needs. It became evident that the process-heavy waterfall method was not fit for purpose, and it needs to be broken down into manageable chunks of work. Frustrations then led to the invention of a new process. The desire to gather early customer feedback and the willingness to adapt the product based on this feedback led to the creation of a new methodology called Agile. Agile training is now considered mandatory for most product managers and is integral to the software development lifecycle. Having said that, waterfall still has its place in certain parts of the industry. All Agile software projects have goals: what the project needs to deliver, when it needs to be delivered by, and within what budget. However, managing these three constraints can be a complex juggling act. The purpose of the iron triangle is to give product teams the necessary tools to make trade-offs. For example, if teams are faced with a fixed scope, the product team may realize that they won't meet the release date. The only variables they can play with are 1. Time. They can accept a later release date. Or 2. Resources. They can add some more people to the project, which would increase costs. Hence, the need for better collaboration and the ability to respond quickly to customer feedback became crucial. Within Agile, there are several frameworks available. The Scrum framework is the most widely used. Companies which mention Agile as the adopted methodology for product development are most likely talking about Scrum. Scrum is the most often used to manage complex software and product development processes using iterative and incremental practices to increase the quality of the deliverable and to increase the quality of the product itself so that they can be more in control of the project schedule. In the next few slides, I'll explain how an Agile project is laid out and executed. Mastering these 7 steps will be essential for anyone aspiring to be a product manager or who is planning a product launch. Step 1. Creating a vision board. The product vision board helps summarize the target audience, product statement, features, and business goals. It helps break down the business reason why the product even exists. The exercise is completed by members of both product and business strategy teams. The essence of a digital product is captured in this framework. Step 2. Defining personas and writing user stories help you understand your target audience. If you can't describe the person you are selling to, your product will inevitably fall short of your customers' expectations. Personas are often given names and a picture. The persona's details are often included as part of the persona framework. The lifestyle, the job they are in, is all the information that's included here. It also includes the problem the person is trying to solve as part of the product. Their needs are then described in simple user stories as shown in the box here. Step 3. Building the product backlog. Building the product backlog is one of the most important steps in Agile project development. This step starts with the use of wireframes to describe the functionality of the product from a user perspective. The wireframe is then converted to epics, which are big chunks of work or large features of the product. An epic then further breaks down into smaller chunks of work called user stories. The product backlog is a big list of user stories that attempts to describe the entire functionality of your product. A product manager manages and guards the product backlog from any external change. Step 4, the MVP and MMP. MVP and MMP are terms that you will often use and hear as a product manager. An MVP is that subset of your user stories from your product backlog that allows you to validate the product idea with the least amount of effort. The MVP helps the product team collect feedback from potential customers, early adopters, on whether the early version of the product begins to solve their problems. Further iterations of the MVP result in an MMP, the minimum marketable product. This is a further evolved version of the MVP that can be more or less handed over to the marketing teams to promote to the target audience. An MMP is usually used for a product launch, but it isn't the complete product yet. Step 5, the release planning workshop. Having defined an MMP or an MVP, it's time to get a move on the product development itself and assemble the team who will collaboratively embark on the product development journey. The workshop aims to set the objectives of each release with measurable goals, timing of the release, key features which will be part of that release. The marketing team needs to explain to users, budget which should include not only the headcount of developers and designers, but also any additional tools that will aid product development, such as wireframing tools, bug tracking tools, etc. Step 6, product sprints. Product development ensues with the product manager creating a subset of stories called the sprint backlog. The team collectively assigns story points to each user story. A story point is a simple number that associates a level of complexity with a chunk of work. Developers then work through the rest of the backlog over a 2-week period. The team tracks its progress and choke points on a daily basis using a daily stand-up. At the end of the sprint, the team would have created a demonstrable piece of work that is potentially shippable. Step 7, continuous development. It will likely take multiple sprints to deliver the MVP, MMP, followed by other planned feature releases. The team continuously tracks progress on delivering story points against what was originally planned as seen in what's called a burn-down chart. Such an iterative method allows customer feedback to help tune or modify future releases of the product without derailing the product development itself. As you can see, starting with a product vision, the 7 steps explains how digital product development can be managed in iterative, bite-sized chunks to deliver a product while taking customer feedback into account. Agile has thus proven to be one of the most successful methodologies to deliver products to users, keeping their interests and problems integral to the development process. The combination of frameworks, ceremonies, KPIs which track goals, and a team-driven approach makes Agile suited to any customer-facing product development. However, not every method is foolproof. Companies transitioning out of waterfall method are still struggling to move to an Agile mindset. Hence, it is essential that the management team at every level is trained to understand Agile's core principles and learn to appreciate the positive aspects of the framework which promotes a results-driven approach catered to the customer's needs. This brings us to the end of the presentation. If you're interested in learning more about Agile or would like to understand how you can apply this to real-life projects, please attend our Digital Pathways workshop or message us directly. Thank you for listening, and please check out the other PM modules on Canvas.
That was better, wasn't it?